rehabilitated, and real entertaining. This is the Carl Jackson Podcast.
O.J. Simpson sounds off on the Alex Murdaugh trial. I think I want to start. I think I want to start there. This is your. Oh my God. This is the Carl Jackson Show podcast. On this Friday, we are going to get into that Alex Murdaugh was found guilty. I'm going to talk to you about how to defeat the deep state. We're going to get into that. We've got some video that aired earlier this week. I'm going to show it to you again. And then Trump is going after DeSantis again. It's all going to get heated up. We're going to talk about that and more on this edition of the Carl Jackson Show. Starting with OJ, boys. Starting with OJ. Here we go. Stay tuned for these messaging notes. All right, welcome to today's edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast. Please subscribe to the podcast wherever you go to get your podcast, Apple, Google, Spotify. Please subscribe to our YouTube page. If you would rate and review it, we would greatly appreciate that. Also, follow me on social media. The Carl Jackson Show is where you can find me on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Getter. I'm on Facebook. Wherever you go to find me, The Carl Jackson Show. And if you would share our social media, we would really appreciate that as well. All of this stuff helps us to get up the charts. We're in this fight for freedom with you or alongside you. So please help us to do that. And today's show is brought to you in part by MyPillow, MyPillow.com. Mike Lindell has built a fabulous business employing American workers. So we got American jobs, American manufacturing, and he's got the new MyPillow 2.0. You get all of the same patented feel as the original MyPillow, but now there's this new technology that Mike discovered that makes it even better. So the MyPillow 2.0 has the patented adjusted feel, again, of the original MyPillow, but now it has this new fabric that is made with this temperature regulating thread. The MyPillow 2.0, it is the softest, it is the smoothest, and it's cool. I'm a person, I get hot at night. I'm not going to lie, I'll sweat sometimes. This pillow keeps me cool, and it's just so comfortable. You cannot believe it. I'll be frank. I hate to say this, but I got to say it. I just want to be truthful with you. I didn't think he could beat the first pillow. They just did it. All right. All right, so there's a game. MyPillow 2.0. Just use a promo code Carl. Click on at the top of the page. Just go to the radio listener square, enter my name, or give them a call. 800-858-0263. 800-858-0263. That's MyPillow.com. All products come with a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee, guys. All right. Also, 4Patriots, the number 4Patriots.com. I am a believer in these products. I know some people believe in the products. Some people don't. I am what you would consider not a massive prepper, but I like to be prepared. I want to make sure that my family is taken care of in the event of a natural disaster or a Biden disaster. So go to 4Patriots.com and make sure you get your 25-year survival kit today. Purchases of $97 will get a year-long guarantee plus free shipping on the order. This includes a 3-month survival kit. If you go to 4Patriots.com and you're a first-time purchaser and you use my name, Carl, as your promo code, you'll get 10% off of your first purchase. All of these kits, they stack easily. They're water resistant. They're compact, and the meals are ready in less than 20 minutes or at about 20 minutes. All you do is boil water, add the water, simmer, serve. You're ready to go. That's breakfast. That's lunch. That's dinner. I always recommend that you have some foods that you snack on and keep them around. But 25 year survival kit. This is very important for you to have. Also, understand this: a portion of every sale goes to help out a charity that helps veterans and their families. So you can protect your family and you can bless the family of veterans. Go to 4Patriots.com. Use the promo code Carl. Make sure that you don't have to worry about a food shortage. All right, let's get into this video. I got tons of videos for you today. Some you've already heard during the week, but I want to play them for you again. I want to recap this week with these videos. because I want to talk about how to defeat the deep state. And I'll just tell you this. Actually, I'll just cloak the entire show on this. Truth will defeat the deep state. Objective truth will defeat the deep state. We have to be courageous. We have to stand up against all of these left-wing radicals that are coming after us. In this show, I'm going to get into, I don't talk about Black history. I think Black History Month is a big mistake. I think the best thing to do is to incorporate Black Americans into the landscape of American history throughout the entire year, as we do with everyone else. That's the way that it should go. Not just based upon dates, but based upon accomplishments, based upon, sometimes you got to talk about evil stuff, right? So we'll get into that. I'm going to tell you some of the things that are going on with this CRT in states or in schools across the country, including right here in our own backyard, Gabe, that I did not know about. And I want to shine a spotlight on this particular school that has a racist teacher there that has been at least suspended. I'm going to give that school a call because I want to make sure that more is done. I think that teacher should be fired personally. He's at Howard Middle School. So anyway, we'll talk about that. But let's go ahead and roll this here tape, Gabe. This is O.J. Simpson. God, stop laughing. Okay, this is O.J. Simpson. God. Gabe, help me. All right, this is O.J. Simpson opining on the Alex murder trial. All right, let's roll the tape. Let's roll the video.
Hey, Twitter world, it's me, yours truly. Well, a whole lot of people are asking me what I think about this Alex Murdaugh trial. I don't know why they think I'm an expert on it, but I got to admit,
I know why they think you're an expert, OJ.
A guy who's an habitual liar. I did watch when the trial first started. I watched him take the stand, and I thought it was probably a mistake because the guy is an admitted liar, and it's hard for me to think he can be on the stand 5, 6, 7, 8 days without lying. Question is, what did he lie about? But lying and stealing money is a little different than murder. I realized in watching them testify what he was doing. He was just trying to relate to one or two of those jurors that he was a good old boy. He was one of them. And I'm not sure he didn't succeed in doing that. I am not qualified to really say if the guy did it or he didn't do it. If a juror missed an hour of testimony, they no longer qualified. I've missed days that I haven't watched this. But from what I've seen, do I think it's more likely that he did it? Yes. But more likely equals reasonable doubt.
Okay. Listen, obviously it's O.J. Simpson, so you take it with a grain of salt, except this. I got to say, there's some things that he said in there that were completely ridiculous, and some things that he said in there that I thought were actually, he had a good opinion. This is our justice system, folks. We can all mock O.J. Simpson and we can laugh at him, and perhaps we should. But we don't double dip even on homicide in the United States of America. That isn't our Constitution. So he's free to have an opinion at this point in time. I think where he's seriously messed himself up on this video, besides posting it, is he kept talking about habitual liar, how Alex Murdaugh was a habitual liar. Obviously, it's hard for him to say that and people not think about him when everyone believes that he's guilty or knows that he's guilty. I certainly believe that O.J. Simpson is guilty. But for whatever reason, I believe it was due to racial connotations. At least the racial connotations that his defense team imposed into the trial is why he's scot-free today. But nonetheless, he made some points. But again, habitual liar. No one can look at O.J. Simpson seriously when he says terms like habitual liar and not think of him, because obviously we think that he killed Nicole Kidman and Ron Goldman. I certainly do. He said something, lying or stealing is different than murder. And he's absolutely right there. Just because you're a liar and you're a thief doesn't mean that you would commit murder. I didn't pay close attention to this trial because when these trials, and I did something differently with this Idaho thing because the Idaho, the Moscow, Idaho guy, the alleged murderer, no one, I mean, they were building up this case. They hadn't found a killer in the wild. That was very intriguing to me. I'm not one of these people that want to opine on the case every day because I feel like I detract from real justice by doing that. So I wasn't going to get involved in this Murdaugh case. I believe it became a soap opera. This Idaho massacre trial may become a soap opera. But nonetheless, Alex Murdaugh, of course, you guys have heard, was found guilty. He is being sentenced today. He may have already been sentenced. I need to look at the updated news. So he may have already been sentenced. It's suspected that he'll get at least 30 years in prison. Basically, he'll die in prison. All right, that's what it comes down to. But listening to OJ talk about this stuff is hilarious. But he did mention reasonable doubt. He wouldn't have gotten on the stand. A lot of attorneys don't recommend that you get on the stand. But this is what our justice system is about. It's about reasonable doubt. And I will say this over and over and over again. The reason why I don't like these soap opera type trials is even if Alex Murdaugh is guilty, and he has now been found guilty, right? So even though Alex Murdaugh is guilty or was found guilty, before all of that, I think it's just easy to sway jurors with outside opinion. And I just don't think it's plausible anymore to believe that jurors are just going to sit in their hotel rooms or wherever they're staying at the time and not browse their phones or get hear some outside influence some way, somehow. I think that's just impossible nowadays. So, but reasonable doubt is a serious thing, and it's something that I don't want to be undermined in the courthouse. And I think it has been severely undermined in the courthouse due to these soap opera trials. Now, reasonable doubt, it doesn't mean that I don't think a person is guilty, but that's our justice system. If there's reasonable doubt, a person should not be convicted. It doesn't mean that they won't get justice when they stand before God, and it doesn't mean that they shouldn't get justice here. But as long as there's reasonable doubt, our system is still the best court system in the world, even though it is far from perfect. So that's just something I think is worth talking about. All right, let's move on. I just want to recap some of the things that happened this week. I want you to understand that there is a deep state, and I know that you understand it if you're in this fight with me, this fight for freedom, this fight to restore constitutional principles. But in case you missed it, I do want to recap some of the video and the audio. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can check out these videos. The Carl Jackson Show on YouTube. Follow me on social media. The Carl Jackson Show is where you can find me. Here's Dr. Marty Makary. Dr. Marty Makary debunking all of the myths, or at least 10 myths, within a span of a couple of minutes that the deep state just lied to us about, this medical industrial complex. And when I say the deep state, most people consider the deep state, and I don't necessarily like using that term, but it's easy to do. But I combine them all together, whether you're talking about the DOJ or I'm talking about the DOJ, I'm talking about big tech, and now I'm talking about big medicine. As well, big pharma, big medicine that have colluded together, that have colluded together in order to impose their will on us. And I think we've got to amputate some of these bureaucratic states. That's why I'm glad that Vivek Ramaswamy is in this race for the presidency, because he's the only one talking about it. Now, I am a Trump guy. I also love DeSantis, but I think a lot of these issues need to be brought to the forefront in the presidential primary. Because I think that Republicans have to do more than just cut taxes. We've got to fight the culture war. Obviously, we've got foreign policy that is completely out of control, and we've got a deep state that is deeply out of control. And so here's Dr. Marty Makary. He, alongside Dr. Jay Bhattacharya and other doctors, have been fighting against all of the lies that were told during the pandemic, and now the truth is starting to come to light. Let's listen to Dr. Marty Makary talk about the truth.
Member Ruiz, am concerned about misinformation. The greatest perpetrator of misinformation during the pandemic has been the United States government. Misinformation that COVID was spread through surface transmission, that vaccinated immunity was far greater than natural immunity, that masks were effective. Now we have the definitive Cochrane review. What do you do with that review? Cochrane is the most authoritative evidence body in all of medicine and has been for decades.
Let me stop it right there real quick, Gabe. And this is a short one, so I probably shouldn't have stopped it, but I just want to say this. So This morning, when Gabe was running late, I went through a Chick-fil-A after a chiropractic appointment, and there was this black girl there that was wearing a mask. And I wasn't going to say anything, but I was like, this is how socialism thrives. This is how the left thrives. If you don't say anything. And I'll be frank, I didn't go as far as I should have, but I simply asked her the question. I just said, I'm sorry to bother you, but can I ask you, are they still making you wear the mask here? It was a rhetorical question because there were plenty of other employees that were not. As a matter of fact, she appeared to be the only one this morning that was wearing a mask that I could see. And so she was like, no, I don't, at first she was nice. And then she was like, no, I don't pay attention to the news. And she kind of walked away rudely. Now, what I was going to say, and I didn't say, and I regret not saying, is just sharing the information. You realize now that information, I did tell her this. I was like, have you heard the latest on masks or what the CDC has said? And that's when she walked away. It was just like, no, I don't pay attention to the news. And, she got a little sassy or whatever, but I should have persisted. And if that happens again, I will. But I was thinking about that in this context. Sometimes in order to fight for freedom, we have to open our mouths. We just have to open our mouths. And the left has trained us not to. Dr. Marty Makary did not fall for that. He continued to speak out, as well as Dr. Jay Bhattacharya. They are very brave men. And in the end, truth prevailed. Let's finish up with Dr. Marty Makary.
For decades, do you just ignore it, not talk about it? That myocarditis was more common after the infection than the vaccine. Not true. It's 4 to 28 times more common after the vaccine. That young people benefit from a booster. Misinformation. Our two top experts on vaccines quit the FDA in protest over this particular issue, pushing boosters in young, healthy people. The data was never there. That's why the CDC never disclosed hospitalization rates among boosted Americans under age 50. The vaccine mandates would increase vaccination rates. The George Mason University study shows it didn't. It did one thing. It created never vaxxers who are now not getting the childhood vaccines they need to get. Over and over again, we've seen something that goes far beyond using your best judgment with the information at hand. We've seen something which is unforgivable, and that is the weaponization of medical research itself. The CDC putting out their own shoddy studies, like their own study on natural immunity, looking at one state for 2 months, when they had data for years on all 50 states. Why did they only report that one sliver of data? Why did they salami slice the giant database? Because it gave them the result they wanted. Same with masking study. Well, the data has now caught up in giant systematic reviews, and the public health officials were intellectually dishonest. They lied to the American people. Thank you.
So this is Dr. Marty Makary. The truth has caught up with big bureaucracy. And this is something that we have to be against. Guys, I'm sorry, it's not enough. It's not enough, in my opinion, to just want Donald Trump back. You got to want Donald Trump back to do stuff with a mandate, stuff that you've got to demand. All right. I want to see Donald Trump back. No doubt about it. But I'm not mad if DeSantis gets in. I know Trump has come out. One of the J5s for today, Jackson's 5 for today, is basically Trump has laid out a 5-point plan. I don't have it right in front of me in ways in which he's going to attack DeSantis. And listen, it's going to get nasty. DeSantis has not said whether or not he's going to get into the presidential race, but everything seems to be leading to that way. But we've got to demand stuff from these people, whether it's Trump, whether it's DeSantis. I hope that they don't tear each other up to the point where you end up not voting for. I think it's most likely that Trump is going to win the nomination. All right, I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you. The more people that jump in the race, the more likely Trump is going to win. So I'm not gonna. That's just a fact. All right, that's just a fact. He starts off with a 30% lead on anybody. He starts off with a 30% lead. So it is what is it? Addition by subtraction. The more people that get in, the more likely Trump is just going to run away with the nomination. And the only way that he stands a chance of losing the nomination, in my opinion, is if it's 1-on-1 with the DeSantis. And even then, you don't know. I mean, it's certainly not it is certainly not guaranteed. So just make sure that we stand up for truth in all facets and demand what we want from our politicians. I'm sorry, tax cuts are no longer enough. Even a good foreign policy is no longer enough. We need to amputate some of these bureaucratic agencies. It has to happen. We need to stop the spending. At one point in time, Donald Trump said he didn't mind debt. Well, Donald Trump, I love you, but the fact of the matter is, if you incur more debt on the national level, then it is going to be we, the people, that incur that debt and have to pay for that debt. And that's a big no-no. And that should be a no-no to you. So if Trump wins, it's time for you guys to tell even Trump, because I'm sorry to disappoint you, he is a politician now. So it's time to tell Trump what you want. It's not enough to just cut taxes anymore. Obamacare must be gone. I don't want Trump care. I don't want Obamacare. I want relationships between patients and their doctors restored. I want more private practices. I want to be able to have a personal relationship with my doctor and choose whomever the hell I want without government interference. That's what I want. That's what I hope you guys want. Now, let's talk about this. This is, I just want to recap. This is Senator Hawley, and we're going to play this thing through. So, Gabe, just be ready to for me to break in. This thing is 7 minutes long. We'll do this video. And actually, let me just share these notes real quick, these stories real quick. Let me share these stories real quick. I just wanted to make sure that I give you some more of the things that are in the news, and then we'll start this video. So on the tip sheet today, Ohio governor urges President Biden to visit East Palestine. And Governor DeWine of Ohio sucks. All right, let's just be frank. He's a Republican. He got in because he promised people could open carry basically in Ohio, and everybody went ahead and voted for. Not everybody, but a lot of people are like, okay, he's better than the guy on the left at least, and that's the only reason Governor DeWine is in. As you can see with East Palestine, he's a horrible leader. But as you can see with East Palestine, so is Biden. Biden is a mean old man. He is a pure politician. He is a pure leftist. It's yet to be seen whether or not he'll go to East Palestine. I seriously doubt that he'll go to East Palestine, East Palestine, because he'll have to admit that his policies failed. He'd have to admit that despite this American Rescue Plan, over $1 trillion, all this government money, he did nothing. And Pete Buttigieg did nothing to enhance or to build better rail systems. So all of that is there. He'll also be admitting that, perhaps taking chemicals, at least ones that can go through pipelines, are probably a lot safer for people as opposed to train rail systems. He does not want to admit that. Another piece of news today is the New York City is going to pay George Floyd protesters who were arrested. That's right. The St. George Floyd protesters, apparently about 300 of them are going to be paid $21,500 for destroying their freaking city. This is why you should abandon Democrat-run cities. This is just absolute chaos. This is absolutely asinine. This is going to be the highest per person settlement award in mass arrest class action lawsuit history. Get the heck out of New York City. It is not going to get any better with Kathy Hochul there. It's not going to get any better than with Mayor Eric Adams there. And I said this from the get-go. I was telling people once he won the nomination, I was like, okay, I'm glad he's the most conservative of the bunch, but he's still a lefty, and so New York City isn't going to get any better. I spoke to people afterwards who thought it might be, he was pro-cop, and I was like, no. He's a man of the left. He's going to bow down to the left. That's exactly what he's done for the most part. All right, so get the heck out of New York City. If they're going to pay protesters that destroyed your city, that attacked innocent people, a bunch of racist bigots, little punks that destroyed your property value, that made you feel unsafe, if they're going to pay the bad guys in New York City, the good guys need to leave. It's as simple as that. Get your butts up out of New York City, and don't you dare move anywhere and vote Democrat again. Do not do it. Do not do it. Real quick. Discover credit cards to begin tracking gun purchases. Guys, pay cash the best you can. If you're using credit cards, if you have to put your firearms on layaway, do that. Try to associate with banks and or credit cards if you need that aren't down with ESG. I don't know how difficult. I mean, that's going to be really difficult. All these fools are turning woke. So just so you know, Discover card, cut up your Discover card. All right, don't use them anymore. If you go to a firearms dealer, you go to a gun shop, to the best of your ability, use cash, and then fight to make sure they don't try to digitize everything. You want to still be able to carry around cash, because if you can't carry around cash, just like China, all right, the government can control you, and that's what they want. All right, so now let's go ahead. Let's move on. This is Josh Hawley. Let's just recap what's happening with Josh. What happened with Josh Hawley? Josh Hawley questioning AG Merrick Garland, head of the DOJ. Guys, in the end, truth will win. That was hard to see. It is hard to see sometimes, but the truth is starting to prevail, is starting to come out, thanks to you fighting to make sure we at least have some accountability in the House of Representatives. This is the Senate, obviously, but it's a whole lot easier to fight injustice when conservatives, people that believe in the rule of law, control at least one chamber of Congress. Here's Senator Josh Hawley grilling AG Merrick Garland.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Attorney General Garland, let me just ask you, does your department have a problem with anti-Catholic bias?
Our department protects all religions and all ideologies. It does not have any bias against any religion of any kind.
Well, you could have surprised me, because given the resources that you are expending and the apparently intelligence assets that you are deploying against Catholics, it appears, and other people of faith, while simultaneously turning a blind eye while people are executed gang style in the streets of our cities, including in my home state, your answer frankly surprises me. Let's talk about the Mark Houck case, for example. You've been asked about this already today, and frankly, your answers really astound me. This is a case where a Catholic pro-life demonstrator, father, was accused of disorderly conduct in front of an abortion center. The local prosecutor, the Philadelphia district attorney, who is a Democrat, a liberal, very progressive, declined to prosecute. There was a private suit that got dismissed. And then after all of that, your Justice Department sent between 20 and 30 armed agents in the early morning hours to the Houck's private residence to arrest this guy after he had offered to turn himself in voluntarily. Here's the photo. Once again, you can see the long guns, you can see the ballistic shields, you can see that they're wearing bulletproof vests. Why did the Justice Department do this? Why did you send 20 to 30 SWAT-style agents and a SWAT-style team to this guy's house when everybody else had declined to prosecute and he'd offered to turn himself in?
All right, let's stop right there real quick. Let's stop right there real quick. I'm going to have to interject in this video because it runs so long and we'll get in trouble. We'll go to YouTube jail if we don't. So I just want to make sure that we're breaking it up so that I can comment in between. I just want you to understand the setup. This guy, Mark Houck, charges had already been dismissed locally. Like the local government did not want to touch it. They didn't feel like the case was worth prosecuting, or the local prosecutor or whatever did not feel like this case was worth prosecuting. Apparently, a gentleman had lunged at Mark Houck's son at some point. Mark Houck stepped in to defend his son, pushed the guy off. The guy fell on the floor. This guy was a big time. The guy that assaulted Mark Houck's kid was a big time lefty, pro-abortion. Obviously, Mark Houck does the right thing. He's standing where he needs to stand when he's standing up for life. When he's standing up for little babies. So all of this stuff was dismissed locally. Imagine the power of the federal government with unlimited resources after everything has been cleared. The local prosecutor says this is done. Why would the DOJ step in except to intimidate not just Mark Houck? They wanted national attention on this case because they wanted all of you, people of faith. I don't care if you're Protestant, Catholic, or Jewish, anyone that is pro-life, and not a lot of Jewish people, unfortunately, but any one of you that are pro-life, any one of you are people of faith. All of this is to say the deep state is in charge. Big government is in charge. This is a new America. It is no longer a government of the people. It is now a government of the bureaucracy. Dennis Prager wrote a fabulous column a couple of years ago, a trial run basically for the police state, something to that effect. DennisPrager.com. You can check it out. That's what we're experiencing. Let's roll the tape.
Determinations of how to make arrests under arrest warrants are made based by the tactical operators in the district. They are not.
But you surely looked into it by this point, right? You know the answer, surely.
All I know is what the FBI has said, which is that they made decisions on the ground as to what was safest and easiest. So they do not agree with your description of what happened on the scene.
You don't agree with my description. I'm pointing out what the photo is. There are agents here who have long guns and ballistic shields. Let's take a look at the hardened criminals that your Justice Department sent these armed agents to go terrorize on that morning. Here they are at Mass. Here's the 7 children with Mr. Houck and his wife. In this early morning, they were all at home. Mrs. Houck has said repeatedly the children were screaming. They feared for their lives. You got these agents demanding that he come out. They've got the guns, she said, pointing at the house and at them. He has offered to turn himself in. And this is who you go to terrorize. What's really interesting to me is this seems to directly contradict your own memorandum about the use of force at the Justice Department. You say officers may use only the force that is objectively reasonable to effectively control an incident. Are you telling me that in your opinion as Attorney General, it was objectively necessary to use 20 or 30 SWAT-style agents with long guns and ballistic shields for these people?
What I'm saying is that decisions about how to go about this were made on the ground by FBI agents.
So you're saying you don't know?
I'm saying what I just said.
Which is that you're abdicating responsibility?
I'm not abdicating responsibility.
Then give me the answer. Do you think, in your opinion, you are the Attorney General of the United States, you are in charge of the Justice Department?
Stop. All right, he's the Attorney General of the United States. He is in charge of these people. Ultimately, remember that movie, A Few Good Men? Ted Cruz. Tom Cruise is grilling Jack Nicklaus in the scene. I don't remember verbatim how the words would go, but basically, Tom Cruise was again grilling Jack Nicholson, and he says something to the effect of he was asking him if he ordered the code red, and then Jack Nicklaus was still persisting that he did not, initially, and then Tom Cruise went on this kind of journey with him just to solidify his command post, to solidify the type of authority that he had, and how no one disobeys orders. And so basically, Tom Cruise trapped him. Like, if nobody disobeys you, if you're the man in charge, then how come this happens? The same, and now I didn't explain that well, but the same is true here. I hope you get it. The same is true here. How is it that the guy at the top doesn't know the practices and the tactics that his FBI is using? Except he does. Because ultimately, he would be the one that had to make the decision to go after the pro-lifer so that he could intimidate people that think differently from him. This guy was being punished for thinking differently than from the left. Guys, times are going to get tough. Sometimes I sit here and I do this podcast and I talk about this. I've talked about this with my wife even, and there's just I don't know where this will lead. I don't know if somebody will come knocking on my door. I pray that never happens. But who knows in this America? Who knows? That's where we're at. That's why we got to keep fighting. This isn't the America that the founders gave us. Let's finish up with Gabe.
And yes, sir, you are responsible. So give me an answer.
The FBI does not agree with your description.
I'm not asking about the FBI. You are the Attorney General. Give me your answer. Do you think that it was objectively reasonable and they followed your guidelines in sending 20 to 30 armed agents to terrorize these people? Yes or no?
The facts I have, which are those presented by the FBI, are not consistent with your description.
So you think it was reasonable?
I'm saying the facts are not as you describe.
What, that the children weren't there? That there weren't long guns there? That there weren't agents? What do you dispute? What's the factual premise you dispute? Be
FBI
specific.
said they don't agree with your description of...
Be specific. They don't agree with what?
Of how many agents, of the agents who were there, and of what their roles were. They don't agree.
Do you know
That's
the
all I can
jury
say.
in this case acquitted Mr. Houck? As I'm sure you're aware. Do you know how long it took him?
I am aware, and we respect the decision of the jury.
Do you know how long it took him?
I don't know.
1 hour. 1 hour. Philadelphia District Attorney declines to prosecute. The private suit's dismissed. You use an unbelievable show of force with guns that I just note liberals usually decry. We're supposed to hate long guns and assault-style weapons. You're happy to deploy them against Catholics and innocent children. Happy to. And then you haul him into court and a jury acquits him in 1 hour. I just suggest to you that that is a disgraceful performance by your Justice Department and a disgraceful use of resources. I notice a pattern, though. The FBI field office in Richmond on the 23rd of June.
Let's stop right here. Let's stop right here just real quick. All right, so he notices a pattern. This isn't anything new. This is why it's getting extremely complicated for AG Merrick Garland to lie and claim that he is not biased against people that don't think like him, people of faith, people that actually like America, people that actually respect the rule of law. The most dangerous man in America, besides Biden, in my opinion, is Merrick Garland. This is a guy that's supposed to be in charge of the rule of law, and he is doing everything to dismantle our fair system. The fairest system in the world, as far as our court system is concerned. Let's go ahead and roll a gate.
January of this year, issued a memorandum in which they advocated for, and I quote, the exploration of new avenues for tripwire and source development against traditionalist Catholics. It's their language, including those who favor the Latin Mass. Attorney General, are you cultivating sources and spies in Latin Mass parishes and other Catholic parishes around the country?
No, the Justice Department does not do that. It does not do investigations based on religion. I saw the document you have.
What did you do about it?
It's appalling. It's appalling. I'm in complete agreement with you. I understand that the FBI has withdrawn it, and it's now looking into how this could ever have happened.
How did it happen?
That's what they're looking into. But I'm totally in agreement with you. That document is appalling.
I'll tell you how it happened. This memorandum, which is supposed to be intelligent, cites extensively the Southern Poverty Law Center, which goes on to identify all of these different Catholics as being part of hate groups. Is this how the FBI, under your direction and leadership, is this how they do their intelligence work? They look at left-wing advocacy groups to target Catholics? Is this what's going on? I mean, clearly it is. How is this happening?
The FBI is not targeting Catholics, and as I've said, this is an inappropriate memorandum, and it doesn't reflect the methods that the FBI is supposed to be using. It should not be relying on any single organization without doing its own work.
Let me just ask you, as my time expires here, a very direct question. How many informants do you have in Catholic churches across America?
I don't know, and I don't believe we have any informants aimed at Catholic churches. We have a rule against investigations based on First Amendment activity, and Catholic churches are obviously First Amendment activity. But I don't know a specific answer to your question.
You don't know the specifics of anything, it seems, but apparently on your watch, this Justice Department is targeting Catholics, targeting people of faith, specifically for their faith views. And Mr. Attorney General, I'll just say to you, it's a disgrace.
All right. That was Senator Josh Hawley grilling him, and I do appreciate that. This stuff needs to be brought out. I know a lot of people on the left aren't going to pay attention to it, but I want you to pay attention to it, and I want you to understand that truth prevails. It is going to be the truth, along with your courage, that is going to defeat the deep state. And we're starting to see this take place. That's why I wanted to recap these videos. I sat here and thought, people have already played them ad nauseum, so on, etc. But maybe some of you haven't heard them. But even if you have, let's put them into context. This is truth prevailing. This is truth prevailing. We're not losing everywhere, guys. We are starting to gain some ground. This is, even though it's been long coming, we've not endured this before. So even though it's been long coming, we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to justice. Now, I don't think these people are going to go to jail. I'm just being honest with you. But hopefully some people will, but at least we're starting to see things turn around where hopefully justice, true justice, can be restored. All right, now let's play this. Actually, before we go to this, I just want to mention this because truth matters. Guys, I'm not a big proponent of Black History Month. You guys, if you know me or if you've read my writings in the past, you know that. I mean, it was just one of these things that was started, I think, I can't even remember, in a local municipality or perhaps on a college campus. I wrote about it. It's been quite some time though. And so I forget. But anyway, I believe Black History Month is being used as a tool to weaponize, used as a tool by the left, right, to weaponize history and to revise history instead of bring us together. And that's why I don't want it. There's no Native American History Month. There's no Latino or Mexican History Month. There's only a Black History Month. And the surest way to keep Black people feeling like victims is to continue with the Black History Month. That's why I don't celebrate it. I don't care what you call me. I don't celebrate it. I don't see there's a need. And that's not to say that I don't want to speak of important Black Americans that have done great things for America. And I'll share some with you just shortly. But I want you to continue this fight against CRT. You cannot grow dull. You cannot get lazy. This is the problem with the Republican movement. This is our party. This is the problem with the conservative movement. This is something that has to change. A year ago, we saw tons of people fighting against the Virginia Fairfax schools. I'm going to share you some stuff that's happening in Virginia, Fairfax County schools in Virginia, where they're not adhering to the new executive orders or laws or edicts that have been put in place by Governor Glenn Youngkin. And that's simply because we've rested on our laurels. See, we assume as conservatives, if we get a quick victory, if we elect a Glenn Youngkin or something like that, if we elect to Ron DeSantis, then everything is good. No, that's far from the truth. When you win an election, the fight has just begun. The fight has just begun. So now it's time to say, this is what I want from the people that I elected, and you have to follow up. You have to follow up. Guys, we are the people that we've been waiting for, as the Democrat said. Hey, let me just remind you real quick before I go on with this. This show is not possible without my sponsors. MyPillow.com. Mike Lindell has built a fabulous company. Get the new MyPillow 2.0. All you have to do is go to MyPillow.com. Click on the radio listener square at the top of the page, all right? It's a buy one, get one free offer. I think I forgot to mention that earlier. Buy one, get one free. So get one for your spouse, get one for a friend, get one for a foe. They might like you better. All right. So mypillow.com. Click on the radio listener square, enter my name, or give them a call, 800-858-0263. It has the same patented feel, but it has this outer layer that distributes or dissipates the heat when you lay your head on it. It's soft. It's smooth. You will absolutely love it. And I promise you, you will sleep better. Also, 4 Patriots, the letter 4, 4patriots.com, 4patriots.com, 4patriots.com. Make sure you buy yourself a survival kit. If you spend $97 on a survival kit, you will get free shipping and a year-long guarantee. If you're a first-time purchaser, you mention my name. Both of these mention my name, okay? You will get 10% off your first offer. These, I actually have some or we have some in our house. They're easily stackable. They're water resistant. The food lasts for 25 years. I believe in 4 Patriots. I actually got products for them before they were even a sponsor. All right. So make sure that you stock up, make sure that you're safe, whether it's a natural disaster or a Biden disaster or a Democrat disaster. You want to be safe. You want to be secure. You want to make sure that your family is going to be fed. All right. So get a 25-year survival, superfood. All right. 25 years. Get yourself a survival kit. All right. And then a portion of every sale goes to help out veterans and their families, or charities that are helping veterans and their families. So this food is ready to go, ready to eat in 20 minutes. Add boiling water, simmer and serve. They got breakfast, they got lunch, they got dinner. So you're covered. 4patriots.com, 4patriots.com, 4patriots.com. Okay. Now getting back to this issue, critical race theory. This is the stuff that we have to continue to fight. I'll just share this story with you real quick, and then we'll close out with this Ted Cruz video. The truth will prevail. We're gonna defeat the deep state with the truth. All right. So this happened in Springfield, Illinois. This was in mid-February of this year. Administrators at an elementary school called the police to intervene in a racially charged incident on the playground. According to the police report, a group of black students forced several white students to say Black Lives Matter, quote unquote. Guys, don't think that schools, racism is starting in schools again. Remember the good old days, a few years ago when our kids didn't care about skin color and they were playing together and they were starting to grow together. And this issue of race was practically dissolved, seemingly for the most part, in the United States of America. Now it's on the forefront of everyone's mind, and it's on the forefront of our kids' minds. And our kids are the ones that typically don't care about this stuff. It was our kids that were telling us how to get along, that they were past racism. Not anymore with these social justice warriors in the classroom. And we knew this was going to play out. This is what critical race theory is going to do. When you tell kids that they're oppressed, that they're victims, and you tell them the other kids are automatically oppressors, you don't think fights aren't gonna break out on the playground? Of course they are. Right here in Orlando, Florida. And I'm gonna call on this one because I want to make sure this teacher gets fired, frankly. A teacher at Howard Middle School, I know where this school is, I used to live near it, and created and posted to his personal social media account a demeaning skit where he used students from his classroom. All right, so this means he posted it on his social media account, and I'm going to tell you what he did. But he wanted to demean these students, white students, on campus and off campus. All right. So here's what the teacher did. He had white students bow down to black students, feeding them snacks and fanning them. The teacher is now on administrative leave. He posted the video caption, Black History Month, the shortest month of the year, quote unquote. I mean, this is absolutely insane. Frankly, I think he should go to jail for child abuse, but I'll settle for him being fired and never being allowed to be in a classroom and around children again. Practices like this are going to make people more racially hostile. Now you go to Fairfax County, Virginia. Glenn Youngkin was elected governor, right? They stopped all this nonsense. Wrong. At the end of February, a sixth grade teacher at Hunt Valley Elementary School in Fairfax County discussed heightened racial tensions. Hat tip to the Federalist, by the way, for this column. There had been racial tensions basically with their students on a playground at Huntville Elementary. Racial slurs, I guess, were said. One teacher in particular told her students that the faculty instructs the adults, supposedly, in detail about the living conditions of enslaved Africans to foster a sense of empathy among children. These people are sick. These people are sick. Standardized tests for fourth graders regarding Virginia's colonial history have been practically abolished and been replaced with CRT. This is happening in Fairfax County still. So again, the truth can prevail. The truth can win out. But when we get somebody elected to office, we've got to force them to do something. We got to force them. So a lot of people that are Trump, rah, rah, rah. I don't care if you're DeSantis, rah, rah, rah. What are they going to do? I don't want Trump for the sake of Trump. I'll be frank with you. I don't want the 2016 Trump. I want more. I don't want him to ever be duped. I'm sorry. He was freaking duped by the deep state. I don't want that Trump. I want the foreign policy. All right. I don't mind the braggadocio if we're fighting against the left. But if they come after you and they try to impeach you twice, don't listen to the freaking government official that's been there forever and fascist Fauci and shut the economy down. I don't want that Trump back. I'm sorry. I'm in it. I'm in it for me and I'm in it for you. All right. So I'm a little selfish. I want my freaking freedom and I want people to bring it. I don't give a damn what your name is. I want freedom, 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 freedom. If you don't give me freedom, I don't want you. It's as simple as that to me. It's as simple as that to me. I want more freedom. So you use these people to get you freedom. Whether it's Trump, whether it's DeSantis, we use them to get us freedom. You use Glenn Youngkin to get you freedom. Rather, standards of learning have been reduced to intimate knowledge of the living conditions of different races. That's what they're doing. Now, listen to this. Aside from the CRT lessons at all levels in Fairfax County, public schools, student groups work with the district's several, quote, listen to this, equity officers, quote unquote, to present racially divisive material to their peers. On January 30th, 2023, students at West Springfield High School were forced to watch a racist video on microaggressions. That means racism doesn't exist there, in the name of equity education. In the video, white people were illustrated, listen to this, as cartoon mosquitoes taking bites out of non-white people with their microaggressions. In response, at the end of the video, the non-white people eventually exterminated them with flamethrowers. This is evil. Guys, this is evil. On February 22nd of this year, the same high school, there was an assembly in honor of Black History Month. During the high school assembly, West Springfield High School, again, the Black Student Association put on several skits, none of which were based in actual history. Rather, during the skits, the one white student member in the club repeatedly acted racist toward the Black students, saying things such as, all Black people look alike. Do white people go around saying that? These skits portray Black students as victims of racism and the police, and the white students as the perpetrator. This is going to get Black people shot and killed by cops. That's what's going to happen. This little white kid that was used to do that, shame on them. Shame on them. But this is what's happening. Now, let me just share this real quick. And then we'll close out with some short video with Tom Cruise. I was just perusing through the Heritage Foundation's website earlier, Daily Signal, or the site on their blog, dailysignal.com. And there's a story up entitled "Public Libraries Screw Up Black History Month." And this is why I don't like Black History Month. But I was looking through all of the cities. It says here, let me just read this part. Public libraries in Indianapolis, Chicago, New York City, LA, Seattle, Cincinnati, Washington, D.C., and Miami-Dade County, and Memphis, and hundreds of other places around the country use February's Black History Month as a progressive political soapbox rather than a study of important history. They're absolutely right. Let me read you some names. Apparently, St. Louis Public Library included an event. It was the only one for kids celebrating Black inventors. That's a good thing. But here's what they did. They sandwiched those events or the inventors in Black history, or the inventors on Black History Month. They sandwiched them between events called Black Queer Resistance, quote unquote, and Celebrate Your Name Black History Month keychains, quote unquote. Okay. So libraries such as the Indianapolis Public Library promote and recommend the false histories peddled by Nicole Hannah-Jones of the 1619 Project, and all of these race baiters. But biographies, listen to this. What about the biographies of the earliest Black congressmen? They mentioned Benjamin Turner. They mentioned Josiah Walls. They mentioned Jefferson Long. Some of these names, I forgot, to be frank. I studied some of these guys, and it's been a long time. So I need to brush up on my history. But they're left out of the promotional end caps in favor of celebrating Marxists like Angela Davis, who just found out that she's a direct descendant of William Brewster, who was chilling on the Mayflower. But the point that I'm trying to make is the people that actually we should be celebrating are not celebrated. The people that would say, oh, wait a minute, make Black students say, oh, wait a minute. You know, despite America's past, we have accomplished great things in America because it is a great country. We have to repent, or we did repent for our sins through an amendment process, 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment. We did things bad. We got things right. And Blacks were able to prevail. Blacks were able to do great things in America as a result. But these people aren't talked about. If these people were talked about, we'd know a lot more. This was a guy I didn't know about, frankly. Jan Matzligers, who created the automatic shoe lasting machine, was Black. The shoe lasting machine, which would put the soles on shoes, onto shoes, strap the top portion over the bottom portion. I didn't know a black guy did that. Garrett Morgan's traffic light. Frederick Jones, refrigerated trucks and trains raised the standard of American living. This is amazing. But yet we talk about critical race theory. You have Dr. Charles Drew, who saved millions of lives because of his devotion to safe blood transfusions. A black guy. These are people that have had tremendous success way back in the day that happen to be black. The first successful open heart surgery was performed by Daniel Hale Williams. And then you had Dr. Ben Carson, still alive today, who performed the first separation of Siamese twins conjoined at the head. Do you think if black students were taught about these people, they would feel oppressed? Of course they would. Of course they wouldn't. I said I was going to play the clip of Ted Cruz. For the sake of time, I'm not going to do that. Gabe is like, sure, thank you. But he also grilled AG Merrick Garland. And he talked about, basically, let me just sum it up. You guys might remember. He talked about the intimidation the FBI used against, pro-lifers as well. And how abortionists were, or abortion activists went to these pro-life centers and damaged them, vandalized them. Nothing happened to them. There wasn't one case that was prosecuted, despite this 18 U.S. Section Code, Section 1507, that says, listen, straight up, people are not allowed to protest, intimidate judges, SCOTUS judges, Supreme Court judges in front of their, homes or offices in order to intimidate them to get, a certain outcome that they want. That's in the code. That's 18 U.S. Section Code, Section 1507. Ted Cruz argued this, and he did it masterfully, or debated, or actually went after A.G. Merrick Garland with this. This stuff should never be. But why did A.G. Merrick Garland not arrest any of these people? Because he agrees with them. And I think he's still bitter. I think he's bitter for not getting on the Supreme Court. So it's like, screw all of the people that actually believe in the Constitution that are on the Supreme Court. I want you to be intimidated because I don't want another one of you on there. That's going to be my legacy. This guy's a little prick. He's a little punk. A.G. Merrick Garland is. People like him should not be in power because they will abuse power. And that's exactly what he's done. Marshals that have been sent to look for these people that vandalize these clinics. No one's been prosecuted. No case has been prosecuted. It's an absolute joke. Guys, listen, I appreciate you tuning in to this edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast. Please be sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you go to get your podcast. Apple, Google, Spotify, YouTube. Please subscribe on YouTube and Rumble. Find us on social media. The Carl Jackson Show is where you can find us. Guys, defeat the deep state by telling the truth. Don't be afraid to speak the truth. I posted this on Facebook today, and I'll share it on Twitter. And if you see it, retweet it, please. Share it on Facebook. I'm on the Carl Jackson Show on Facebook as well. But a friend of mine I spoke to last night, Tyler, he told me of something that he saw. It was spray painted on a wall in Utah, and they've since erased it. But basically, it was, no one that refused the jab regrets it. Think about that. Think about that. These people lie to us. They lie to us about the jab. They lie to us about protecting ourselves when it comes to help, our health. They continue to lie to us. A.G. Merrick Garland pretending like he's not biased against at least half of the country. They lie to us. How do we defeat them? We defeat them by not bowing down. We defeat them by not staying silent. We defeat them by telling the truth. And we defeat them by, once we get our people in office, demanding from them that they fight for us. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Trump back in because we know he's a fighter. But guess what? I want more from Trump if he gets in. If DeSantis gets in, I want even more than that. Vivek Ramaswamy, Larry Elder, there's rumors he might get in. I want them to give us freedom. Don't think you won just because you get your guy in. All right, guys, until next time, don't grow weary doing good. God bless you.